Most agents avoid prospecting because no one ever taught them how to actually do it in a way that works. But here's the truth. If you want consistent listings and income, mastering this skill will change your life. In this video, you're going to learn all about the listing game. You'll learn how to become successful through circle prospecting, expired listings. You'll learn the exact scripts that are working today to call expireds, and whether RedX is a great investment for building a steady pipeline or not. If you want to become the kind of agent who attracts listings and doesn't always have to just chase them, this is the video for you. Now let me pass it to my man, Kyle.
Today, we're going to be talking all about 6 ways to dominate your geographic farm. So if you are into trying to maximize your area and work either like a neighborhood, a zip code, whatever your geographic farm is, today's call is all for you. And we're going to be going over some stuff that I used personally when I was working my geographic farm here in San Antonio, Texas. So I'm excited to kind of share my thoughts, my insights with you. So I see a lot of people jumping in. Well, let's go ahead and just start right up, guys, and dive into our topic here today. So we are going to look at the 6 ways to dominate your geographic farm. So let's go ahead and kick this thing off. Here we go. So the first thing that you need to do for a geographic farm is to select the right area. And so what I mean by that, and let me kind of even take a step back and talk about a geographic farm and what it is and why you want to do it. But especially as a new agent, you're going to want to definitely consider working a geographic farm because we all have limited budgets, right? I mean, if money was no issue, we could, have billboards up and all the marketing, sending out postcards to the entire city. We'd be top agent in the entire city, right? But that's not the way things work, right? Typically, especially when you're just getting started, you've got a limited budget, you got to work within your means. And so the more effective method is to identify a neighborhood or an area that you can saturate and work your marketing and your prospecting versus just trying to be sporadic, right? And just do everything all over the place. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to take like a listing if you get it from a friend or a buyer that wants to look somewhere else. You're still going to do all of that. But when we're talking about your marketing and prospecting efforts outside of just your general sphere of influence, you're going to focus your efforts into one really targeted area. And so when you do this, it allows you to make best use of your money and get the most amount of leads, really start to build your brand where you become known in an area. And so I'm going to talk about selecting the right area. Okay. Number one of the important things, or one of the questions I get asked a lot is, should my geographic farm be my neighborhood? Ideally, I mean, if you want it to be, if you're in a good neighborhood that, some of this stuff that we're about to talk about applies, then yes, I mean, that's a great idea. I wouldn't steer you away from it at all, but I also wouldn't say like it has to be. It could be outside of your exact neighborhood. If, for one reason or another, maybe you don't want to be known in your neighborhood. Maybe you just, it's not a good fit in your neighborhood or whatever. Maybe you're going to be moving soon. But it can be an advantage. I will say that, because if you're local, if you live in the area, that obviously makes, gives you a unique selling proposition when you're talking to clients, because they feel like, hey, this person knows the area, they live here, so it does give you that leg up, but you don't have to have it, right? So let's talk about a couple things about your geographic farm. The first thing you want to look at, and this is a little bit more of like the advanced side of it, but I want to show you that it is important to think about this, is to look for a target area that has a high absorption rate. And what that basically means is you want a neighborhood that is turning over properties fairly quickly, right? And the way that you find this out is basically if you take the percentage of your community, it's a percentage. You take the community that's likely to buy and divide it. Oh wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm looking one step ahead. You take your homes sold last year and you divide it by your sellable homes, right? So let's say there's 500 homes in your neighborhood, and in your target neighborhood, the one that you want for your geographic farm, and you look, and last year for the last 12 months, there was, 80 homes or so. That'd be a lot, but let's say there was 40 homes that sold in that neighborhood of 5, or let's make it easy math. 50 homes out of 500 neighborhood, out of 500 in the neighborhood, right? So that would make that 10%, right? Would be the absorption rate. So if you took 500, you divide it by, or you take 50, divide it by 500, that's 10%, right? 0.1. So then that would end up being 10%. And what you're looking for is a neighborhood that's above 6 or 7%, right? So if you know how many homes, and it can be a ballpark, it doesn't be exact, but if you know about how many homes are in a neighborhood or in a certain area, and then you can go on your MLS and kind of, make a radius around that area, or just target that area and see how many homes sold in the last 12 months. And you want sold homes. So don't just, don't pick pendings, don't take active option, don't say, homes that are for sale, literally just the sold homes in the last 12 months in that area. And you take that number divided by how many homes are total. You want that to be above 6 or 7%. And what that tells you is that there's a lot of homes selling per home, right? Because you want your marketing to be as effective as possible. Like if you're sending out 500 mailers and there's only like 2 homes that sold last year, it's a very low odd that you're going to get one of those 2 homes, right? There's not a lot of opportunity. Whereas if there's 200 out of the 500 homes that sold last year, obviously that's a bigger opportunity. And so the way that you quantify that is you use that little formula there, and you take how many homes sold last year, divide it by your sellable houses, and you want that to be above 6 or 7%. Okay. So and one of the things you can think about too is the age of the neighborhood. Typically homes that are going to be that have a high absorption rate are going to be not new neighborhoods. Like if somebody is, if you're looking to target like a new construction community, those are not your ideal communities. I mean, people, when they move into a home, they usually live in a home for 6 or 7 years, right? So if the neighborhood is like 1, 2, 3 years old, it's probably not a good candidate. Now, if the neighborhood's 6, 7, 8 years old, then it could be, right? You just need to look at the stats and see if it makes sense. If people are already starting to turn over in that neighborhood. Likewise, I mean, if it's a, first time home buyer community and it's 6, 7, 8 years old, chances are it's a good community. If it's like a really nice, kind of final home, or at least like second, third type of home community, 7, 8 years might not cut it, right? Because sometimes people are going to want to live in those homes a little bit longer. So anyways, it's just one of those things where you do want to select a neighborhood that that kind of gives you the best option, right? So anyways, that's the first part, is selecting the right area. Next, and then the other thing too that you want to think about before I move on is this is all going to be dependent on your budget. But if you've got like a really big budget from the get-go, or maybe you've been in the business for a while and now you just really want to start farming more, but you've got a big budget, you can go after more than one neighborhood, or you can go after a big, bigger area. And when I'm talking about big, I'm saying like maybe over 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 5,000 homes if you've got a huge budget, right? But if you've got a small budget, you could stick to 200, 500 homes, something like in that range, right? So pick an area that kind of that meets that, because if you go too big too quick, you're going to find you're not going to have the money, or at least you're not going to feel comfortable spending the money on what you actually need to do to capitalize on that opportunity. So it's much better to go smaller that can fit your budget than to go bigger and feel like you're kind of stretched thin and you can't really do anything that makes it effective, right? So that's the other part there. All right. The next thing is you've got to create a plan. You don't just go into this blindly and say, I'm going to, do geographic farming and, it's going to start working for me. And like, oh, maybe I'll circle prospect, or, oh, I'm going to send mailers out, like that's all part of the plan, but make sure you have a much more detailed, documented plan when you start setting up your geographic farm. So what a plan in my mind encompasses for your geographic farm is, number one, what's your branding like? Like, what is going to be your brand? Maybe you already have a brand for your real estate business and you're going to just continue, to kind of leverage that brand. Maybe you don't have a brand yet. Well, if you don't, you need to have a brand if you're going to start to be effective with geographic farming. So you've got to figure out what your brand is. And is it just like, your general real estate agent brand, which is fine? Or are you going to actually make yourself even more like niche branded and target specifically your brand at your geographic farm, right? Like, there's certain agents that, they have geographic farms in San Antonio where it's like, they are the master of Timberwood Park, right? So like, I mean, I've even seen brokerages spring up that's like Timberwood Park Realty, right? Like that's their entire brand is servicing that geographic farm. And so like that's an example of something that you might want to think about when it comes to geographic farming. I'm not saying you have to. You could just be Kyle Handy real estate agent and I'm servicing, and kind of my niche is this geographic farm. But you do want to have that thought through in your plan. Budget. What are you going to spend to geographic farm? Put it in writing. How much do you spend monthly, quarterly, annually, right? Like when are you going to spend that money? And because not every month is going to be the same. Like one of the things you'll see here later on is talking about events and hosting events. Well, you're not going to probably do an event every month, but maybe quarterly you'll do an event. So those quarters, you want to make sure that you have the money set aside so you can do an event, right? And so we'll talk a little bit about that. What is going to go into your marketing and advertising strategy? I've got a couple different ideas as far as some marketing and advertising you can do for your geographic farm, and I'll talk about that here in a second. And same thing, what's your prospecting strategy? It's twofold. You got to do both, right? You got to have some marketing and advertising that's going out, and you also have to be putting, boots on the ground, doing the work, whether it's phone calls, door knocking, open houses, all the above. That's on the prospecting side. And then you've got to have a content strategy, right? Position yourself as the expert for that geographic farm. And so that's all going to fall under your content strategy. So all of these things go into your plan, right? How much content are you creating? How frequently? How are you doing it? How are you, getting it out there? Is it YouTube? Is it social media? If so, is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it TikTok? What hashtags are you going to start using? Like all of that stuff needs to be thought through. How often are you prospecting? How many hours a day? How many hours a week? How many calls are you making? All that good stuff. And so same thing, marketing and advertising, like where are you going to market and advertise to? Which mediums are you going to use? Postcards, direct or Facebook ads, there's lots of different ones. All right. Then you need to determine what is your unique selling proposition. And so there's a few different ones that you can, kind of hone in on, but you need to have something that makes you unique and stands out amongst all of the other agents that might be, serving that area or who have tried to serve that area. Because what you'll find is that, yes, a lot of agents do geographic farming, or at least they try to do, right? Like they'll send postcards out, they'll do them a couple times and then they stop. Or like they'll do an event, but then you never see them again. Or they do open houses here and there and they're kind of sporadic, but then they never, keep going with them, right? So that's what most agents do. But if you want to be successful with this, you've got to like be consistent, showing up every day, every week. People are going to know you, and it's a long-term game, right? So when you're doing that, your unique selling proposition is going to become known in their minds, almost like it's just like your brand, right? It's part of your brand. What makes you unique to this audience, to this niche, this geographic farm? So, it could be stuff as simple as, I do, call something like a worry-free transaction and have some specific, benefit of that, right? Like, what does that mean to people, right? You pay less to buy and sell. Maybe you have some kind of offer to people like, hey, if you buy and sell a home with me, I give you X% off or something like that. And more exposure for your listing. Okay. Somehow, like, let's say that you're, you got a ton of following on Instagram or YouTube or whatever it might be. And you say, hey, look, we get X amount of exposure on your listing, or I run ads on it. And then here's the last 3 listings we did. Look at how many, likes and shares that we got. Like something that sets you apart, right? It has to be something just that you can hang your hat on. And now obviously when I say unique, nothing is unique amongst every agent. You can say, well, yeah, Kyle, I saw another agent that does that. Sure. I mean, like, they're not gonna be something that's completely unique to you, but like unique in the sense that not the majority of agents are doing, right? So think about that. On-demand service, like, what does that mean? Like, hey, I've got a thing where you can set up a meeting with me, within every 6 hours or something, right? Or I got a portal, I got a team that you can call and we're available, this much time throughout the day. Like whatever that means, on-demand service. Knowledgeable, right? This is something that you can do through your content strategy, right? Without you even having to like say this is your unique selling proposition. You can just be the knowledgeable agent for that area, right? By creating content that people start to see. Like if you're the one that's always talking about the statistics and, the things that are coming into the area, and any of that kind of stuff, and just people know you as the person to go to when they need tips or knowledge or something about that area. That's something that makes you unique as well. Helpful. Now, obviously, that's very vague, right? Like, you could be the helpful realtor, but what does that mean, right? Like, maybe you just know so many people, you're networked, and when somebody needs something, you're the one they go to because they're like, hey, who do I, get my air ducts cleaned? And you're like, oh, I've got this person, or I got this person. You can be extremely helpful, be overly helpful. Like, you're just always looking for ways that you can help people in your geographic farm, right? And then you can hang your hat on that. I mean, it sounds funny, but after a while, and if you're doing that consistently day in and day out for months and years, people will start to know you as the helpful agent or something along those lines, right? Local. This is where I talked about it. If you live in the neighborhood, that can make you unique, right? There's some agents that try to market to the neighborhood, but they maybe don't live there. And so if you live there, that means something to people, right? Um, Video for every listing. Maybe you do a listing video, and you can, hang your hat on that. You can show it, give examples of it. People will come across it on your social media, on your YouTube, all that good stuff. Maybe you do guaranteed offer, right? Like, or maybe you're partnered with a brokerage that has a platform that can make guaranteed offers on your behalf, right? Like, so you personally don't have to make them, but your broker can offer a cash deal on every single listing. If you're with a broker like that, why not leverage that? Use that. Like, I know at EXP, we've got express offers. We can make a guaranteed offer for every single property. And so, I mean, why would we not want to leverage that? So, think about what you have. Think about your, if it's just you, what things can you leverage? Does your broker offer anything that you can leverage? Does your team, anything like that? So definitely, I would definitely be thinking about what makes you unique, that you can almost like a tagline. I mean, you still probably will have a different tagline that's part of your brand, but this is going to be something that just gets woven into your brand, and it's your unique selling proposition, something that gives a benefit to your geographic farm that they start to know you as. All right, we got Lori says the market is resetting in some areas. So how accurate will this be? This, I think, oh, so I think you're probably talking about from the previous slide, maybe, as far as like the absorption rate and, like basically if you're using data from the last 12 months, it's still going to be accurate for, up here. I think it is, Lori. I mean, obviously, numbers change, and I mean, 6 to 7%, maybe that's not the number, in the next few months or in the next year or whatever. But what I want to, I guess, more so convey is that if you're comparing different neighborhoods, you want to go with the neighborhood that has the highest absorption rate. So like, and that will never change. Like, the absorption rate number might change, but the fact that you want to go with the highest absorption rate, if you're comparing 2 or 3 or 5 neighborhoods, the one that has the best one will typically be the best. Now, that's not always the end all be all though, too. I'll put one more caveat there. Like, let's say that you have one neighborhood that the average price point is, $450, and the absorption rate is 8%. And then you have another neighborhood that's like the average price is 300 or 325, and the absorption rate is 9%. For that one extra percent, you might think like, I'd rather, maybe I should just go with the 450. It's got a higher average commission. And let's say it's, a place that you feel like you can make some an impact there. It's somewhere you want to be. Then I would go after that more expensive neighborhood, the one you want to be in, even if the absorption rate's a little bit lower. Now, if it was like the absorption rate was 2% and the other one's 10%, well, then of course, you probably are going to want to switch that up and make sure that you're just comparing and going with the one that gives you the best opportunity overall. All right. Next one, have a call to action or have multiple calls to action, right? And I think this is really important. We don't have good enough call to actions typically as real estate agents. I think that, or that we're too confusing. We try to use too many at one point in time. It's not bad to have multiple call to actions in your arsenal, but when you're making, a piece of marketing or information, a landing page, if you put more than one call to action on that landing page, chances are the person that lands on it never takes any action, right? Because now they're confused. Same thing with postcards, same thing with anything that you're trying to get somebody to do. You want to make it one clear call to action. And so for your geographic farm, a couple calls to action that come to mind that I've used. Number one is a free custom home evaluation, and make a point to let them know this is not automated, because I think the client knows now that like a lot of valuations are automated. A lot of people want to know, is their Zestimate accurate? That could even be your headline, right? Is your Zestimate accurate? Right. And then like, I'll give you a free custom home evaluation right now on the spot. Give me your address. I'll look it up. I'll send you all the details, right? That would be a great call to action. You're going to get people's addresses. Yeah, I mean, maybe not everybody's going to use you. Some will just use you for the free CMA, but at the same time, you're building up your database. It's quick and easy to do. You'll get really good at creating CMAs. So, I mean, that could be a great call to action, right? Another one, automated marketing reports, like monthly. So this is going the other way, where like you are going to say that it's automated, but let them know like, hey, it's automated, but you're going to get a report every month that just kind of keeps you up to speed on, the information about your house, right? And here in there's going to be some exchange, right? You're going to give them that in exchange for their email, or exchange for obviously their address, right? Their address and their email, most likely, because they're going to want to receive those. So you got to have a call to action on every piece of marketing that you do, but don't overdo it and say like, I'll give you a custom home evaluation and I'll set you up on an automated marketing report, or like do like the either or. Like, if you want this, then do this or do this. Don't do that. It's too confusing. Just, if you want to have two calls to actions, save that for two pieces of marketing. The next thing, new listing notifications, right? Like, so that way you can let them know, hey, if the listing ever pops up in your neighborhood, I'll let you know about it. Okay. If the other thing people want to know is, what do the homes sell for? If you want to let them like say, hey, look, every time a home sells, I'll send you an email, let you know what it sold for. Because most people don't know what their neighbor's homes sell for, right? Only we know that because we have access to the MLS. Free selling guide. Like, maybe you have an ebook, or you have some kind of, thing that you can give out that's of value. Maybe it's a magazine. Maybe it's something that's branded to you that you can offer to people as your call to action. And then this is the one that I really like. This is kind of the upsell. So like, once, like, these are all the free ones, just to get like email addresses, to get, their actual address, their physical mailing address. But then the one that you really want, after you've already gotten that information, is you want to get them set up on a free live consultation on demand, right? And what I mean by this is basically, it could be as simple as a Calendly link, right? Like, I use a Calendly link in all of my videos that I make for YouTube for my buyers and sellers. And the call to action is always, hey, by the way, if you're looking for a free evaluation on your home, no obligation, set up your free consultation with me. Here, go to, xyz.com/consult, right? Like, that's my call to action. And so they go there, it takes them to a Calendly link. They can book directly on my calendar. I show up on Zoom. I take them through the MLS. I show them, what their property looks like, as far as like how many bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. I make sure it's accurate. I use the tax records for that. And then I say, okay, so if that's accurate, now let's go look at the MLS. We're going to pull up all the properties that have sold in your neighborhood and kind of, filter it, so that way we get the most ones that are similar to yours. And I do it just literally like a CMA right there on the spot. I get to know the person, like, hey, why are you thinking about selling? Why are you thinking about your values? You thinking about it for down the road? Or are you just trying to protest your taxes? Like, what's the deal? All right. But I get to build a relationship with that person. And that's like a really low, threshold to start to build a relationship with somebody. And so I always love, offering that free live consultation on demand. And then some people are going to use that, and that's your listing appointment, right? Like, that's your choice. That's your chance to potentially wow them. And that becomes like your introduction to a listing appointment. You say, hey, so this is what I can see just from the computer. But for like, if you're real serious about this and you want to sell your home soon, I'd love to come out, check it out in person, because there's sometimes things that I might see while I'm there that, obviously I can't see without being there. Are you open to that? Right. And then you set the next step. So you're always just kind of taking them down your funnel, and you want to be doing this throughout your geographic farm, and people are going to start to see it happening, right, all the time. And then if they're not ready to go right now, maybe they're ready to go in 6 months. But all right, guys, feel free to, if you have any questions, make sure to throw them into the chat here. And if you're getting value out of this video, so we got a lot of people tuning in, hit that like button. I greatly appreciate it. And it means a lot, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. And if you are not yet subscribed on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can follow along as my journey the next 2 months. I'll be coming live to you guys from different spots all on the East Coast. but definitely consider subscribing if you're not already. All right. Now we're going to get into the different like marketing avenues. Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the different ways that I've marketed and advertised to my geographic farm. First and foremost, I'm a firm believer in content. I think in this day and age, those who create the content are ultimately going to be the best positioned for this upcoming market. I think that, we are in store for an interesting market. I'll say that. I don't know if it's going to go up or down or sideways here these next couple years. But I will say, if you're building your brand and you're like kind of hanging your hat on content and people are starting to, see you as the expert, especially in a geographic farm, that's going to carry a lot of weight. I think that you are going to want to be that expert for your area, because that's what's going to help separate you from all the other agents, right? So, having a YouTube channel, having a blog, anything like that is going to be number one, the most important. Honestly, it's the most important thing that I think you can do for your geographic farm on the marketing and advertising side. And I'm not talking about like generic content that you get from Keeping Current Matters or from Coffee and Contracts or any of that stuff. I mean, that stuff is great. Definitely leverage that as well. But you need to create customized content that you actually spend your time researching information, researching, news, statistics, right? And you're sharing that with people. So it's unique content that you are creating and only you are creating. Nobody else has made that before. And now, obviously, the topic doesn't have to be, 100% unique. If there's already somebody that's making, that's made a video on YouTube about your neighborhood that you want to talk about, you can still make that neighborhood video too. But the content inside of it should be unique to like the way that you present it and your ideas and your thoughts and all that good stuff. All right. The other thing that you can use is Reminder Media. If you guys haven't heard of Reminder Media, I love Reminder Media. It's basically makes like a custom catalog brochure for you every quarter that goes out to your geographic farm or your sphere of influence or both. But it's really high quality, and it really makes you look, kind of like the pro, right? Like, basically they allow you to kind of change up the cover, the inside cover, the first page, and behind that first page, and then the back, right? Same thing, back. And then you can put coupons in it for, local businesses, all sorts of stuff like that. You can talk about, a couple things. And then in the inside part, it is more generic, but it looks really good stuff. Like it's, tips for sellers on how to, stage their home, or, just random stuff that might be important to buyers and sellers. It's not going to be extremely niche specific to your, to your area. Now you could make the niche part of it in the very front, like where you have that first page to customize, or the cover of it, you can make all of that customized. But like the inside, but most people, when they see that, it really stands out in their mind. It's way different than just getting a postcard in the mail. People will see it, read it. I think it's very high quality. It's been one of the best return on investments that I've seen in my business. So definitely check out Reminder Media. I've actually got a link there you can check out. It's kylehandy.link/Reminder Media. If you want to take a look. The other thing is postcards, tried and true, right? Reminder Media will also do postcards for you. If you're going to go down that route, it might be just easier to keep everything through Reminder Media and have them do your postcards as well, because they'll send that brochure out, or that magazine out once a quarter, but you also want to be at least giving them physical mail once a month. So like those other 2 months, you can send postcards, and Reminder Media can do that for you. Or if you're like, hey, you know what, I'm just not ready for Reminder Media yet, maybe it's a little outside my budget. It's not super expensive, but it is, more expensive than just like sending postcards through EDDM, which is Everyday Direct Mail, which is my next suggestion. And so like if you just wanted to send postcards, because maybe it's a little more cost effective, you can design your postcards on Canva. And then the cheapest way to send your postcards out is using Everyday Direct Mail, or Every Door Direct Mail. And that's through USPS. And basically what you do there is you can go on their website. It'll show you the different mail routes. And so you can't fully say like, I just want to target, this neighborhood. If that neighborhood happens to be, pretty much just one mail route, then it's perfect, right? And you just select that. You might have to select 2 different mail routes depending on how big the neighborhood is. But you pick a mail route, it tells you how many houses are on that mail route. It shows you a map of like where all the houses are in that mail route. And then you can send your postcards there, and it's super cheap to do it that way, right? So you might look into that. That's probably the cheapest way. But the way that I do postcards is I would do one evidence of success and one letter from the heart, right? And I would just swap them every other month. So like literally, evidence of success might be a couple homes that I sold in the neighborhood recently, might be a testimonial from a home seller in the area that I recently sold their home. It could be anything, right? It could just be like how good the neighborhood's doing, like some market stats of that neighborhood in there, right? And then letter of the heart is basically just anything that is, coming from me as like a person. Like, have I done an event lately in that area? Am I planning to do an event in that area? Is there something going on in my life that like I want to share that's like relevant to the audience that might be getting that postcard? Like maybe we're, I don't know, doing something, a project on our personal house, right? And we somehow tie that into a spring project that people can do on their house, right? But just trying to get people to kind of relate to you better. So that's what I use. And I just flop those two. Okay. Next, social media, organic and ads. Okay. And so, it's important to kind of utilize both. Now, obviously on the ads side, it's a little more difficult now on Facebook specifically and Instagram, just because you cannot target, a location as closely, right? I think the smallest radius is like a 15 mile radius, which that's going to be a big geographic farm area, right? I mean, if you've got the budget, then it still might be worth it, but there could be some other better methods. Like if you've got people's, contact information, you can actually create like a list within Facebook ads and, upload that list, and Facebook will try and match that to user profiles. And you can use that as a saved audience and just send out marketing to them. That's one way. You can utilize retargeting. So like if you've got and here's where I was going to talk next about a Facebook group for your neighborhood or for your geographic farm, you can basically retarget people that are in that group, or like that are checking out your website or your business page or whatever. You can retarget them. So your ads are only getting served to the people that are most likely in your niche. So that's one of the things there. But and then on the organic side, make sure that you're participating too. So like you have, you've got a group that you've created, and you've also joined if there's already a group set up for your neighborhood or for that area. Even if the group is a little bit bigger than that niche, like let's say that, I wanted to do Timberwood Park and it doesn't exist. Well, number one, I would create the Timberwood Park, Facebook group, right? And then next, let's say that didn't exist, but there was like Northwest San Antonio group, right? Well, then I'll go join Northwest San Antonio group, because chances are that audience from Timberwood Park is going to be in that group. I'm just using these examples. Timberwood Park is not Northwest San Antonio, but just saying, like, just to give you an example, right? I would join that because I know a lot of my audience will be in there, and it's free for me to go in there and start to kind of dialogue and be helpful to people in there. If I'm allowed to share my content, I would share it in there. You got to be careful of that. Make sure that you're okay to do that. Have some hashtags thought out for like Instagram or for really anything just on the branding side. Of course, you're going to probably hashtag the name of the community or the farm. You're going to hashtag anything else that's relevant for that, right? And just, be consistent with that. Next, ads. So going back into the ad side, ads in local businesses. Some local businesses will let you, kind of do some stuff for free, right? Like you could put your business cards in a lot of different areas, but maybe they want you to take out an ad and you just kind of see what the information is on it. Like, is it expensive? How many people do you think are going to see it? Make your analysis of if it's worth it to put some stuff up in local businesses. Maybe it's the grocery store, yes, those things, I know they're kind of old school, and but if you're really going after like a geographic farm and you want to be known in an area, every exposure that you can get to that audience is going to become important. Now, like if you're not geographic farming and you are going to go, pull out an ads at your grocery store so you can, be on like an end cap or something like that for magazines, I wouldn't recommend it, because if that's like the only time people are ever seeing you, chances are they're never going to call you, right? But if they see you there, they're getting, magazines from you. They see that you're doing an open house in the area on the weekend. They're starting to see stuff on your social media. Well, now it's all going to start coming full circle, and that's where it starts to get really important and really relevant for you. So that's where doing some of those things are more beneficial. And so even though they are old school, they can work for you in that environment. Same thing with billboards, right? Like you could, I mean, if you got the money to spend, and when I say billboards, I mean, it doesn't have to be like a big old billboard that's up on the side of the highway. I mean, it might be just a small, billboard on the side of the road, just depending on like your area and how things are set up. But consider things like that, right? Drip emails, free. I would definitely recommend having drip emails set up with helpful stuff, though. Sending out your content as you create it, sending out new listings in the area, letting people know of sold listings in the area, valuations for their homes. So if you do have like a automated home valuation for people set up through your CRM system, then utilize that. SMS campaigns, so text messaging campaigns. You can do things where you can send out, texts to everybody in your geographic farm, as long as you got their phone numbers. So there are services that will do that. They'll pre-screen them to make sure they're not like on the, do not call or do not text list, right? Utilize Nextdoor. So that's another kind of social media platform, but especially if you're in the neighborhood, which I think you have to be, of course, on Nextdoor. Unless you're doing like advertising, which you may consider that, is to join Nextdoor and be active on there, be participating in Nextdoor, right, for your area. So those are all some great ways that you can utilize or to start really maximizing your geographic farm. Okay, next, prospecting. So all of that's like the marketing side, the advertising side. That's the stuff that you're going to probably spend money on. You're going to set up and just kind of goes on its own. Now, this is where you are going to spend your time day in and day out, week in and week out, like making things happen, right? So this is the prospecting side. This is where you're going to be setting up open houses. Ideally, I mean, if that's your geographic farm, a lot of those open houses will be your open house, once you start to get listings consistently in that area. But until that time, I would certainly be texting, calling, getting to know all of the agents that have listings that are popping up in your neighborhood and trying to do an open house on every single one of them. Every single listing that comes in your neighborhood, even if it's a different agent, you should be trying to do an open house on. And so because a lot of agents, they don't want to do their own open houses. And so, you want to use that as an opportunity to brand yourself. You want to use that as an opportunity to meet people, as a reason why you can reach out to them, to send them, any kind of information, to call them ahead of time, as far as like for circle prospecting. So open houses in your geographic farm, I'd be looking at every single one and trying to do one for all the other agents that are not willing to do one on their own listing. Circle prospecting, that's where, of course, you pull up like a service like RedX, or, you can utilize Mojo. Cole Property Resource is another good spot to get the numbers for people. But you're going to circle prospect and call people. And what do you say to them when you call them? There's a lot of scripts that you can download or look at for circle prospecting. All of them kind of, have to do with like, hey, there's a home that recently sold in your area, yada, yada, yada. Now, obviously, if you already have a relationship with the person, because maybe you've called them before, maybe you've seen them before, your script's going to be different. It's going to be more like, hey, how's things going, John? Have you thought any more about selling? Be more customized, right? But in the beginning, it's more just like, hey, there's a home that sold down the road. Or if you have like an open house coming up, you can invite them. Use that circle prospecting as a chance to invite. Say, look, I'm hosting an open house on 123 Main Street next week, or this weekend. And, I'd love to see you out there. Do you think you can make it even for 5 minutes, right? Like just try and use circle prospecting for that. And then of course, if you have an open house, door knocking and door hangers, I would be doing those all the time, the morning of the door of your open house, to invite people. So at least 10 to the left, 10 to the right, 10 across, right? So that's like 20 homes, but you might want to do more than that. If you can do more, great. Like in Texas, I mean, it doesn't get super hot. Like I was out till probably, my call right now, and it was bearable. But if you're doing an open house and it's, in the afternoon and you're trying to door knock at 1:00, that's not going to happen. But if you get out there at, 9:00, I wouldn't start knocking doors too early because you might tick people off. But 9 a.m., you start knocking doors and knock doors for 2 hours, you can probably get through quite a few, right? And if they don't answer, leave a door hanger, but invite them to your open house. And I don't really like door knocking just for door knocking's sake. Like I always would do it because I had an open house that just made it easier. But some people, if you just want to door knock too, just door knock, right? That still can be effective. Attend and create events. So I like doing quarterly events for my geographic farm, and being able to, whether it's like, especially around the holiday time, I would do something, Santa Claus, for like the winter time. You can do things in the summer. You can get food trucks. You could do even just like as little as like going out and having like a bunch of donuts ready for people in the morning. You can hand out donuts as people are going to work, right? Donuts and coffee or something, right? Just thinking of little things like that, but then make sure you brand it. Make sure you got something that even if people pass you by, they see that you're the one doing it, right? They start to associate you with that area. And then pop-by gifts. Pop-by gifts are where you basically, do something that's kind of catchy, memorable. I've got a lot of pop-by gifts ideas on my website, and you drop them off, on people's doorsteps. They're usually, pretty inexpensive. I would try and keep my pop-bys to like $1 to $3 per pop-by, with all of like everything included, the bag, everything that I'm going to drop off. So if you're doing a home, a neighborhood of 200 homes, yeah, it might cost you $200, $400, $600. But it's not going to be super expensive. You could do it a couple times throughout the year. So that's your prospect on it. Those are the things that your activities that you're going to be doing consistently in your geographic farm to have success. All right. So first off, what is circle prospecting? Here's a quick overview. As I mentioned earlier, the ultimate goal of circle prospecting isn't necessarily to generate individual transactions, although you could always get lucky to that end. Instead, what you're trying to do is strategically grow your database in a particular area and generate appointments that may likely turn into sales opportunities down the road. Circle prospecting lead generation can come in multiple forms, including phone calls, postcards, hosting an open house in the area, and social media advertising. For this video, I'll focus mostly on the calling aspect, but what I've found is that circle prospecting is most effective when you use multiple mediums simultaneously. What I like about circle prospecting is that it cuts down on a lot of the competition you're likely to face almost immediately. Many real estate prospecting techniques are reactionary, meaning that you're waiting for something to happen before you can make a move. It's rare that you will ever be the only agent to call an expired listing to see if you can help someone sell their home, for example. Homes that are for sale by owner have likely attracted the attention of a lot of other agents in your area too. But with circle prospecting, you're building relationships with people who may not be ready to sell their home today, but for whom that can easily change in the future. They may not have even been thinking about selling their home at all until they see what some of the other properties in their area are going for. A homeowner may not be interested in selling their home for 6 months or even a year, but in a single move, you've started them down that path and have gotten there before anyone else. All right, so here are some best practices to leverage circle prospecting to your advantage. The biggest key to success in terms of circle prospecting involves coming to an understanding that you're playing the long game. Because of that, when I call someone to tell them about a property that just sold, I try to free myself from the mindset that I'm trying to get their business. Instead, I focus on being helpful and providing them with valuable information about what's going on in their area. During this call, you'll want to take the time to collect as much information about the prospect as they're willing to provide. But again, you need to do so in a friendly and helpful way. Rather than follow a strict circle prospecting script, I like to have a few questions ready that direct the call. I've found having an outline of where you want the call to go rather than trying to memorize and follow a generic real estate script will increase the chance of the lead opening up more. Try to collect information like whether or not they know someone who plans on moving into the neighborhood, how long they've lived in their current home, whether or not they plan on moving, where they would move if they did end up selling their home at some point in the next year. At that point, prospects who have absolutely no intention of moving will reveal themselves immediately. You can finish your conversation about the recent sale and move on to the next number. But you'll also have a better better idea of who may be ready to sell but who hasn't officially begun the process yet, at which point you can begin to further warm them up in a gentle way. You could create anticipation by telling them about the condition of the market or other recently sold properties. You can give them an indication that this process usually takes longer than people think. It can take many months to prepare a home, get the listing properly marketed, then find a buyer even in a hot market. The beauty of circle prospecting is that it allows you to remain friendly, helpful, and informative in a way that builds trust and establishes you as an authority. I never want the prospect to feel like I'm trying to sell anything, at least not right away. You're being helpful and providing something of legitimate value, information, without asking for anything in return. Next up, the fortune is in the follow-up. It's so crucial to understand that when it comes to circle prospecting in particular, the follow-up process is perhaps even more important than the initial call. If you have a nice conversation with someone and they tell you they're not looking to sell their home for 6 months, it's imperative that you remember to reach out to them again and touch base once that amount of time has passed, or even before. This is something that a lot of real estate agents miss because they're too focused on finding the hottest leads they can today. Success in terms of circle prospecting is all about your ability to play the long game. It will allow you to build up a significant database of contacts in a relatively short amount of time, but not all of them will be at the same stage of the funnel. Therefore, you need to be willing to follow up as often as possible to continue to move them closer towards the point where they are ready to begin this process. Usually, you'll want to check in on at least a quarterly basis to inquire as to whether their status has changed. In addition to calling your leads, consider using a real estate prospecting letter to follow up with your circle. When potential clients see your branding and name across multiple mediums, including direct mail, all of your efforts become more effective. Rather than actually write out an individual prospecting letter for my geographic farm, I create a postcard via Canva and send them out via USPS Everyday Direct Mail, or EDDM. I found this to be the most cost-effective method to mail many pieces of mail. Another technique is to run Facebook ads around your geographic farm. So long as you have a Facebook business page, you can run relatively inexpensive ads to a specific area, minimum 15-mile radius. When you combine calling, direct mail, and Facebook ads to your target area, a property owner in the area will begin to see you as the expert for that neighborhood or location. The riches are in the niches. Rather than doing what most real estate agents do and market all over without a defined area, be specific with your targeting. Your money and time will go further. So what are the right tools to effectively market to your circle? You'll want to make sure that you're using the right tech-driven tools to help make circle prospecting and similar techniques easier, with RedX Geo Leads being chief among them. A platform like RedX Geo Farming Leads is designed to bring real estate professionals and a potential seller together, taking a time-consuming process and turning it into something that is as efficient as humanly possible. RedX offers tools that connect agents with homeowners that are actively looking to sell, thus cutting down on one of the most frustrating parts of the process for many professionals. But more than that, I like RedX because it also acts as a hub for my entire circle prospecting campaign. It helps me to organize my leads, my past clients, and more all in one place. I save a tremendous amount of time by using it to prioritize who I call and why. I never have to worry about remembering to follow up with people because the system will help with all of this and more. With RedX Geo Leads, you can perform a neighborhood search and pull the contact information for the owners in the area. This even includes absentee owners, owners that may not live at the property and may be renting it out. RedX also pulls in MLS data so that when you're calling potential sellers, you have market data at your fingertips. You can also set notes and automated reminders for yourself so you always know who to follow up with, thus making sure that you're not missing a single opportunity to move someone from one end of the sales funnel to the other. One other popular circle prospecting tool is Cole Realty Resource. While their lead data is accurate, I've found the dialer, CRM, and overall feel of RedX to be more user-friendly and intuitive. For more information on RedX, check out my other video that I'll link above. In the end, circle prospecting is so effective because it allows you to build legitimate rapport with a potential client in a way that also strengthens your personal brand. Circle prospecting is also a great way to build your real estate business because it is seller focused. In the current market, listings mean lasting. Scaling your business is much easier and more profitable with listings. At that point, you become something more than just another realtor in your area. You become a trusty advisor, a friendly voice on the other end of the phone that they know they can call with a question, someone who they may recognize at the grocery store or out in public, a person who is always at the front of their minds when they start thinking of real estate because you've made every effort to make sure you stay there. If they know a potential buyer or seller in the area, you'll likely be the one they call. If they themselves decide to move, the chances are high that it's you that they'll turn to. Sooner or later, your reputation will begin to precede itself in this specific niche area that you've chosen. This is exactly the position that any real estate agent should always be in. So before I share the 3 scripts with you, I want to share a few expired listing tips to set the stage and give you some clear expectations of what you should know when working with expired sellers. So first of all, you're going to want to understand that you're going to get a ton of rejection when calling expired listings. Over 80% of expired listing phone calls that I make result in somebody hanging up on me, telling me that I'm the 100th realtor to call them, ask me to leave them alone, or simply don't answer. On top of that, of the 20% that are somewhat receptive to my call, 10% of those will allow me to book an appointment on the spot with them. That's right, if you're doing the math, that's around 2% that will book an appointment on the first call. That means you need to make about 50 calls to have a chance at one appointment. Now with continued follow-up, anywhere from 5 to 20 additional calls, I'll set another 3 appointments out of the original 50 leads. So as you'll see, the fortune is in the follow-up. So is it worth it? Absolutely. Listings are like real estate gold, especially in the significant sellers market that we're in today. It's certainly more comfortable to obtain buyer leads and clients, but then you still spend more of your time on the back end fighting against multiple offers, driving clients all over town, and consumed by the inspections and appraisal negotiations. In comparison, once you set a listing appointment with an expired seller and you can show them what went wrong the first time around and fix the issue, usually price, staging, or marketing, then having that deal turn into a closing is much more smooth. So while you may spend more time on the front end turning a prospect into a lead, you'll make up for it on the back end with the amount of work you'll need to do. The other part that makes the effort of learning expired scripts and going outside your comfort zone to cold call expired sellers is that many times these deals turn into multiple deals quickly. Either the expired seller needs to buy something else, you'll get signed calls from the listing, or you can circle prospect and share with other potential sellers in the area that you have a listing and or have sold a listing in their neighborhood. Time blocking is imperative when it comes to calling expired listings. Start calling at around 8 a.m. to be one of the first agents to contact the sellers. Plan to continue calling for a couple hours until around 10 a.m. Then you can start calling older expireds and following up with older expired leads that you've already spoken with afterwards. Overall, a solid 3 to 4 hours of time-blocked calling will ensure you're always filling your afternoons with appointments. Also, I recommend using a tool to speed up the process of calling expired listings. I use RedX. I found that it's the perfect balance of accuracy in the data and pricing for my needs. When you log into RedX, the system updates all the new expired listings and sets up a list that you can dial immediately. Also, when you sign up for RedX's expired leads, you also receive their Vortex CRM system for free. This allows you to keep notes and put leads into different follow-up buckets. Finally, I recommend adding their Storm Dialer to double the speed of manual dialing. Because RedX's dialer integrates with Vortex CRM system, there is a ton of extra information that pops up that you can utilize once you're in dialogue with the seller. Information like market values in their area, the seller's length of ownership, and how much they may still owe on the property, and much, much more. When you use my link in the description, you'll get your setup fee waived, which saves you about $149. All right, so all that being said, let's jump into the 3 scripts and objection handlers that I recommend when calling expired listings. This first script is from Josh Gussard. It's pretty simple and short. This is a good one to master in the beginning because it's not very long and gets to the decision-making process pretty quickly, so it's great for new agents getting into expired leads. It goes something like this. Hey Sam, my name is Kyle Handy. I'm a realtor here in the area and I'm reaching out to you today because I came across a property you recently had for sale. Since I specialize in homes that didn't sell the first time around, I wanted to see what your plans are moving forward. Do you still have plans on getting that home sold? So this is a great way to start the conversation as it immediately identifies whether or not the owner has any remaining interest in selling. Also, mentioning that you specialize in expired listings might help win them over. Usually at this point, they'll say something like, well, we're not sure, we might just take a little break. Or they may say something like, well, we're gonna probably just go and try and list it ourselves. Or they may just say, no, we're really not interested in selling it anymore. So then at that point, what I'll say next is this. Okay, awesome. Do you know what type of time frame you're looking at here? Usually at this point, you're already gonna know if this person's receptive to talking to you, if they just want you off the phone or whatnot by then. But if they're staying on the phone, they're willing to talk, then I'll start to kind of ask them a few more questions to start building a little bit more trust. A lot of the questions that I pull from are from a Mike Ferry script. One of the questions that I like to ask is, awesome, so if you sold this home, where would you go next? Oh, really? How soon would you like to be there? Then I like to probe a little bit more into their experience the first time around. So John, what do you think actually stopped your home from selling the first time? Really? How did you happen to pick that agent? 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say something like, well, we just didn't get any showings. They're not going to get to the deeper cause, or they're not going to share with you what the deeper cause they feel was. So you may need to do a little bit more probing. Oh, really? So you weren't getting any showings? Did the agent ever share with you kind of why there was no showings going on right now? I know that in this area, we've had about 7 homes that have sold here in the last 30 days. If I can tell that they're still receptive at this point, this is where I'll start to want to go in and ask for the appointment. Well, I tell you what, John, I'd love to schedule some time for me to come over and see your house in person and maybe just shed some light on why I think that it might not have sold. Are you available later this afternoon, say 3 p.m., or does tomorrow work better for you, say around 6 p.m.? I like that either or close because typically I'm good with either option as long as they're choosing a time for me to come out and meet with them. All right, so the next script is from Barino. This one takes a little more confidence and timing to pull off, but it is awesome. Hey John, this is Kyle Handy with eXp. I'm not the first one calling you about your house, am I? It's kind of crazy, all these agents calling. Where were they when this house was up for sale? You see, John, what's happening is that all of these agents are gunning for your listing. They think that they can make a quick buck by snagging it. Where were they when it was up for sale? John, have you relisted it yet? Is the house back on the market? Usually at this point, they'll say something like, no, we're gonna take it off the market. We're gonna take a break for a little bit. Hey, I don't blame you. I understand completely. Would you still consider selling in the future though, if a buyer walked in and offered you the right price? Here's where you're gonna probably get them to say, yeah, you know, most likely I would, or possibly. And so same thing as before, if the dialogue is still flowing, I'm gonna start probing, asking a few more questions and trying to build more trust. Well, where'd you guys wanna go? What was the plan? Well, let me ask you, what do you think went wrong? I'm looking at all the pictures and it seems like you have a lovely home. Nobody even made you an offer? Usually they say something here like, well, the realtor just said that our neighborhood's slow or that the price was a little on the higher side. And so then I like to follow that up by giving them some solid stats on their neighborhood. Interesting. Well, did you know that 7 homes sold in your neighborhood in the last 30 days? Somebody's got to be moving. Here they'll usually say something like, well, no, I didn't realize that. Really, that's interesting. Or they'll say, which ones? Yeah, a lot of homes are selling. Let's do this, John. And I know you guys don't want to sell. And I'm not here to pressure you. I'm not one of those salespeople that called you earlier. Let me just drive by just to say hello, and I want to drop off some information, including the 7 homes that recently sold, so that way you at least know what's going on. Who knows? Maybe down the road you guys decide to sell again, and I'll be happy to sit down and chat. Could I swing by tonight around 5:30? Would that be okay? And there you have it. It's as simple as that. So this one, again, takes a little more practice, a little bit more timing, but overall, I feel like it's a great script that gives you that confidence and makes you feel like the expert when you're on the other line with that seller. All right, the final script is from Brandon Mulrenin. I really like this one because it's very relaxed feeling and doesn't come across as pushy or salesy, which is kind of my style. Hey, Sarah, this is Kyle, a local realtor, and I know you probably have every agent in town calling you right now. Am I right? I know that can be super frustrating, and just so you know, I'm not interested in listing your home.
I was just curious, you were only asking $400,000 for that home, right? Interesting, what happened? Got it, and did you get any offers at all? Did the agent give you any feedback what he or she thought might have happened? I see. I was wondering, you're not going to do anything unless it made sense, but if you had received the right offer, what were the original plans? I see. And is that still the plan if possible? Okay, Sarah, well, here's my thought. What if one day I could stop by your house real quickly and share with you some new information that might be able to help you actually sell your house? Because I know you're not going to do anything unless it makes sense, right? I like to get micro commitments along the way, so that's why I'm constantly asking, right, is that okay? That type of thing. Okay, great. I can pop by one day, take a look at the home, and make some recommendations, and from there, you can have that information to use for the future if you do ever decide to sell the home again. And then you'll determine what makes the most sense. Fair enough? Okay, so I'll put you tentatively on my calendar for later this week. How's Thursday afternoon, or does Friday evening work better for you? Great. I'll plan on seeing you Thursday. I'll send you a quick email with my resume to keep on file. What's your best email? I'll let you know if we need to move the meeting for some reason, but I'll plan on seeing you Thursday. Okay, so now that you have 3 of the best scripts to get you on the phone, you're going to start hearing some of the same objections over and over, so you'll want to be prepared for them. So the first one that you're going to hear often is, thanks Kyle, but we're actually just going to go with the same agent. Here's what I'll say with that. Well, sure, I get you have some loyalty to that agent because you've been working with them for a while now, but can I tell you why it makes me nervous that you're just going to go blindly relist with them? And when they hear you say nervous, typically they're going to want to hear you out or see why you would be nervous about that. So more often than that, you're going to hear, sure, or nervous, why? And here's what I'll respond. Well, what I know is that your home was on the market for over 6 months, and the average time on the market right now is between 34 and 41 days. So realistically, your agent should have sold your home 3 times by now, and he or she didn't sell it once. So what do you think is going to happen differently this time around? Does that take confidence? Absolutely. But at the same point, you're not lying. If the agent had it for that long and they didn't sell it, what's going to change this time around? All right, so the next thing that you're going to hear most often is, well, I think we're just going to drop the price and sell it on our own. Ah, I see. Well, can I share a concern that I have with that scenario there? Use that word concern. It's going to get their attention, and more than likely, they're going to say, well, yeah, what's the concern? Well, what I know is that out of all the homes that sold this year in our market, over 98% involved both a listing agent and a buyer's agent, meaning that less than 2% had only a buyer's agent or no agent involved. Also, those homes sold anywhere from 9 to 17% less than had they gone with a professional agent like myself marketing the home. Do you really want to leave that amount of money on the table? And there you go. Again, they're not going to say they want to leave money on the table, right? So maybe that's the in that you're going to need to finally be able to set up an appointment with them. All right, but overall, remember what I said in the beginning. It's all in the follow-up. So as good of a speaker as you are on the phone, it's still going to come down to your follow-up if you're going to really have success with expired listings. So in addition to your just normal scheduled follow-up, I've realized that a good time to follow up is when you actually notice new activity in their neighborhood. So this could mean new listings, a new active option or a new pending, or a closing that just took place that you can now call and let them know the sold price. Also, if you do plan to be in that area, sometimes just call them out of the blue, let them know that you'll be in the area later on that afternoon, and sometimes they may say, okay, fine, let's meet, let's let you see the property, just because they feel that it's easy. Well, there you have it, 3 of the very best expired listing scripts out there, along with how to handle 2 of the most common objections that you're going to get. If you'd like a copy of these scripts for free, head over to my blog post that I've linked in the description below. Also, make sure to check out RedX, especially if you don't have a system for expired listings yet or are using another tool.
RedX is a real estate prospecting platform based in the United States that delivers real estate professionals brand new listing leads every single day. It works by aggregating leads from different sources around the web and delivering them straight to you via its Vortex platform. Their goal is to connect agents with qualified sellers, start more conversations, and book more listing appointments. The RedX platform includes a user interface called Vortex, which allows you to neatly organize all of your data in one place. You'll be able to keep your leads, past clients, new clients, and sphere of influence all in one place, saving you the hassle of integrating different platforms together. Vortex is free when you purchase any of RedX's lead subscriptions and includes scripts, lead verification, and objection handlers. Speaking of objection handlers, if you'd like my video on how to overcome the most common real estate objections, check out the video that I'll link above here. All right, so first up, let's talk about RedX's pricing. Prices vary based on lead source, meaning you pay only for what you need. For instance, expired sellers are around $59.99 per month. Geo leads, $49.99. For sale by owner, $39.99. For rent by owner, $79.99. And pre-foreclosure is $39.99 per month. So what are these different types of leads? RedX offers multiple traffic sources for you to choose from. They ensure that these are the top quality leads whose phone numbers have been vetted against relisted homes and the do not call list. The different leads that you can choose from are expired sellers, geo leads, for sale by owners, for rent by owners, and pre-foreclosure. These leads are pulled from a variety of sources such as the MLS, websites, classifieds, newspapers, and magazines, as well as county court and tax records. RedX does all the digging for you so that you can focus on your business. So let's first up talk about expired listing. RedX consistently brings you newly expired listings as homes are pulled off the market. You'll also get information on older expired listings. Since the platform only includes the most qualified homeowners in your results, you can be sure that you aren't wasting your time calling bad numbers. As part of the platform service, you'll receive specific data for each expired listing, including the homeowner's name, phone numbers, address, and tax information, along with details retrieved from the MLS about the house. And if you're working with expired listings, you're going to want to check out my expired listing scripts. I'll include the video right up here. Next up, let's talk about geo leads. RedX's database of geo leads helps you create a sphere of influence so that you can become the best real estate agent in your area. This lead source allows you to target potential leads in a generalized area, specific neighborhood, or within range of a given address. The dialer will automatically filter out poorly qualified homeowners so that you can focus on leads that fits your real estate business. All right, now let's talk for sale by owners. When it comes to for sale by owner prospecting, RedX does the hard work for you by searching through a variety of sources to create a database of active for sale by owner listings. Having a strong database of for sale by owner listings at your fingertips means that you'll be able to quickly get in touch with sellers who have been unable to sell their homes and offer your business to help them through the process. Turning a for sale by owner into a potential client takes some practice, which is why RedX provides scripts and role-playing scenarios so you can be confident when making your calls. Check out my other video on tips for prospecting to for sale by owners that I'll link above. For rent by owners. The For Rent by Owner database gives you access to a list of landlords and investors who have been unable to rent vacant properties. By building a network of landlords and investors, you'll create a consistent lead source as they buy and sell properties in your area. The opportunity available with For Rent by Owners tends to be less known by real estate agents, making them a great source of leads for you. RedX lightens the load of pursuing pre-foreclosure leads in your area by creating a database of difficult to find contact information obtained through the county and court tax records. This is another type of lead generation that fewer real estate agents take advantage of, giving you the opportunity to jump in to provide value and representation to a motivated seller. Now let's talk about the RedX Storm Dialer. Another great tool available through RedX is the Storm Dialer. The Storm Dialer is a separate purchase of $99.99 per month that promises to simplify your calling process. This power dialer will automatically dial leads directly from the Vortex lead platform so that you don't have to spend time dialing each one by one. The Storm Dialer is a single line dialer system, but for an extra $50, you can upgrade it to a multi-line dialer, which will dial up to 3 leads at once. This will help speed up your real estate cold calling process and get you more leads in less time. You can set up the Storm Dialer to leave a voicemail for any unanswered calls. Now let's do some comparisons to compare RedX against some of the other top names in the industry. First, RedX versus Vulcan 7. Another big name when it comes to phone dialers is Vulcan 7. It operates similarly to RedX, though has some unique features of its own. One distinct feature of Vulcan 7 is its real estate video marketing platform called Storyteller. With Storyteller, you can easily create and send out video emails to form a deeper relationship with your audience. Another feature that's unique to Vulcan 7 is their Reconnect database, which is available at a discounted price of $99 for the first 30 days. The Reconnect database will compile all the hard-to-find contact information that you need to reconnect with 400 leads in your database. While Vulcan 7 is often said to provide more up-to-date contact information than RedX, it lacks a multi-line dialer and is about twice the cost of RedX. Vulcan 7 is $299 per month for the dialer and expired leads, and $329 per month for the dialer, expired leads, and for sale by owner leads. In my opinion, RedX is still the best bang for your buck since you'll still get solid leads at a much lower price. Next, let's cover RedX versus LandVoice. LandVoice provides you with a comprehensive list of leads similar to RedX, including old and new expireds, for sale by owners, a geo-based neighborhood search, and pre-foreclosures. Call Capture is a system unique to LandVoice that provides professional audio recording, custom listing flyers, and presentation emails to help successfully pursue your lead down the funnel. You'll also get your own toll-free number, giving your business instant credibility and professionalism. With LandVoice, you can choose a monthly, quarterly, or annual payment plan to best suit your needs and budget. There are 4 distinct packages that you can choose from: Starter, which is $79 per month, Essential, which is $115 per month, Pro, which is $156 per month, and Elite, $199 per month. Unlike RedX, LandVoice does not offer an integrated dialer. This means that you'll have to purchase your own dialer separately and connect it to your LandVoice lead management platform. Next up, RedX versus Mojo. Mojo is a web-based dialer platform that can be used by any salesperson, not just realtors. Mojo is similar to RedX in that it offers a multi-line dialer and different lead categories to choose from to best suit your needs. The prospecting packages available through Mojo's lead store are slightly cheaper than what is offered by RedX, and it comes with a lead management system to organize your data. However, their highly rated dialer service is the same price as the RedX Storm Dialer and can integrate with other lead providers, including RedX. This gives you the flexibility to use RedX for leads and Mojo as the dialer. The Mojo dialer is unique from the Storm Dialer in that it uses a copper wire infrastructure as opposed to an internet connection that might be lower in quality. If you're looking for a system specifically designed for realtors, then RedX might be the one for you. But honestly, Mojo and RedX are strong competitors, so you may want to try each of them out and see which one that you prefer. But before you go and sign up for one, let me give you a RedX discount. If you're interested in the RedX but worried about the price, I'd love to help you out. You can receive a $150 discount by using my link, and I'll share the link in the description down below. I am an affiliate for RedX, and I do earn a commission whenever you use my link. That said, RedX is the only service on this list that I would actually personally use myself even still today, and I've used it so much in the past that I have no problem making the recommendation to you. I truly believe that if you get into expired listings or for sale by owners, you're going to love the RedX. So here are my final thoughts. As my top pick among all other prospecting platforms, RedX lends speed and convenience to lead prospecting and cold calls. The platform's ability to aggregate new leads on a daily basis, organize your data into one database, and contact leads quickly through a multi-line dialer option makes RedX a one-stop shop for prospecting. It's fairly priced as well, and it's a good alternative to more expensive options like Vulcan 7. With any of these options that I've listed above, you have the ability to speed up your lead prospecting and connect with more people, which ultimately will help you sell more homes.
Thanks, Kyle. Guys, prospecting isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. And once you learn how to use it, you'll never have to wonder where your next deal is coming from. Whether you're brand new or trying to level up, I hope this marathon of videos showed you that listings are earned through consistency, systems, and the right tools, not guesswork. If you want help putting this into action, whether it's through mentorship, access to my scripts, or even my free expired mini course, check out the links below. You don't have to figure out this alone.